I am currently close to being 1/4 done with Reverend Insanity, and my God, is it good. I don't know if it's because I was reading BRAINROT before picking it back up, but I miss it so bad, man. The writing, the characters, the world building, everything about it is absolutely amazing. Now, this isn't going to be a volume 3 review, although that is coming soon. Today, I want to talk about 4 reasons on why I think Reverend Insanity is the best cultivation novel of all time. There's no doubt about it. At least for right now, in the foreseeable future. Who knows? There could be a novel on Cheating that in 5 years from now, after it gets like 1,000 chapters, could people consider it one of the greatest of all time. Keep watching because the last reason is something you'll never expect. Obviously, if we're going to talk about how good Reverend Insanity is, we must talk about our MC, Feng Wan. Feng Wan, once a scholar from Earth, somehow transmigrated into the cruel and malicious Goo world. From that point forward, he went through 300 years worth of torment, and then 200 years of crashing out, therefore making it 500 years of experience in the Goo world, making Feng Wan becoming the person we now know and love. I'm sorry if you hear the train. Jesus. You see, Feng Wan is a person who's on the pursuit of power. Someone who would do anything to reach his goals. Perseverance is the only thing in this man's heart. I kid you not. He feels for nothing else. I can't stress that enough to you. And it's not that he's evil, it's just that he's goal orientated. If he was moving and thinking like this back on planet Earth, it would be borderline insane. And even he recognized that multiple times. They stressed that in the novel multiple times. But he isn't on Earth. He's in the cultivation world, and not just any cultivation world at that. He's in the Goo world. The Goo world literally represents the old cultural practice of putting poisonous insects in a jar and having them duke it out just to see who will be the last one. It was literally survival of the fittest. In the Goo world is that and then some. Niggas don't care about anything but power or paper, bro. Kid you not. Everything else get thrown out the window. And that's not to say that Feng Wan doesn't feel pain or sorrow or even happiness. He celebrates his small achievements. It's just that he can't let those emotions control him in the long run. In the grand scheme of things, they just don't matter. Talking about the grand scheme of things, let's get into reason 2, which is obviously the world building. And oh boy, there's a lot to talk about. Now, obviously, I can't encapsulate and explain everything about the world and the world building in one video like this, let alone in a volume review. But can we just talk about the sheer size of the Goo world? The Goo world itself is fucking massive, bro. To call it a planet would literally be an understatement. If you ask me, I think it's the size of a solar system, but I could be completely wrong about that. It's not that it was said in the novel, but that's just my supposed theories. And trust me, you won't call me insane when I tell you the absolute sizes of just the continent alone. Just the northern plains alone is 5 billion kilometers. 5 billion! While the southern border is 7 to 8 times the size of Earth alone. And don't even get me started with the central continent. Let me not forget the whole 9 heavens situation, but 7 out of 9 of the heavens literally died out and fell out, and now there's only black and white heaven, which is literally night and day. Or the story of Renzu, which is literally the lore book to the Goo world. Not only do you see plenty of goo that is also in the story that even Feng Wan even sees or uses or meets, but you also see the origins of many things like variant humans, beast, and overall lessons that the Goo masters use and follow in their day-to-day lives. Or even the classic tale about Verdant Grey's son getting transported to the abyss, with that following up him refining the divine travel goo into fixed immortal travel goo. Now you may be like, why did he do that, you ask? Well, he just wanted to get drunk. But I mean, don't even get me started with the whole dream realms and blessed lands. That'll have to be a whole nother video on its own. The tale of Renzu opens up the world and deepens it in such a way that I can't even begin to even explain it in one video, let alone in a volume review. I have to make a whole nother video on its own. Oh my God, it's a common thing. I also like how people who live on one continent are somewhat different than another. It just adds more, not only variety, but more depth. Like people from the northern plains are considered Viking-esque. They use brute force and strength in absolutely everything or almost everything. They don't use the typical clan system, opting out to call themselves tribes. So like the Man tribe, the G tribe, and so on and so forth. That doesn't mean there aren't clans, there's just more tribes than clans. Here people believe into sticking together and that bronze is more than brains. Also, the northern plains tend to have more livestock and farmers because of the soil and the conditions and the weather condition there compared to other continents. So there's that. While on the southern border, they're more pre-planners, thinkers, and strategists. There's also way more hills and mountains in the southern border, which is why most clans decide to be built upon or built around mountains or on top of a mountain. Another thing is in the southern border, mortals had to bow down when they see a Goo master. They had to kneel and bow down. Or how their paper was made out of bamboo and it was usually worse quality than the other continents, but it suited the moist weather that the southern border had. And last but not least, I really wanted to talk about the regional suppression system. To simplify it, let's just say you have a rank 4 goo that you refined in the northern plains, right? If you were to migrate, let's just say to the northern continent, not only will it be 50% less effective, but it will also go down 1 rank. So it will go down from a rank 4 to a rank 3. I don't know. I just like this because it gives the world a fair share of balance. It also makes sense for why somebody who just ascended to rank 5 using rank 5 goo in the northern continent, or should I say the northern plains, not the northern continent, wouldn't just move to another continent and just instantly start dominating there. They would literally have to make it right back up to the mud. At least in the terms of getting their goo back and shit like that. Because being a rank 5 using rank 4 goo doesn't sound good. It's like the world purposely put a cap on each and every single continent, kind of like an RPG. I'm sorry for the little rant about the goo world. Actually, speaking about goo, let's just get into reason number 3, which is obviously the goo cultivation system. Now, if you want a full deep dive on how the goo cultivation system work and how goo actually work, feel free to check out my Reverend Insanity goo system explained video, because I have a whole video, 30 minutes of pure raw information. I recommend you watch it because I won't be going too in depth into this video. Reverend Insanity is a cultivation novel at heart, but one thing that separates it from the rest is the goo cultivation system. Humans are the spirit of all living beings, and goo are the essence of heaven and earth. Men use and feed and refine goo for various uses. There's goo for transportation, some can heal, some can deal damage, and some give auxiliary buffs like boosting your the tenacity of your bones, super strength, healing, so on and so forth. But you just can't willy-nilly pick up any single goo, refine it, and say what the freak you do, and get like a whole bunch of goo and be like, okay, let's go out there in the world now, I'm a full-on goo master, because that's not how it works. One thing I hate about cultivation novels usually is how bare bones and straightforward it usually is. You know, you got enough spiritual energy, you break through. You learned enough of this law, you broke through. You see, in Reverend Insanity, there's a balance to everything, a good or a bad, so to speak. If you have a goo that resonates with the fire path, for example, you'll want fire-based goo in order to boost the synergy with that fire path goo. So let's just say you have a goo called fire breath goo. You don't want to have like a whole bunch of wind path center goo around that fire breath goo, because not only does the efficiency increase by half, but it also have conflicting dowel fragments, which causes friction. It's like rust caught in between two old wheels. Although it won't be unusable, it just won't be optimal. It's like using a fire type to fight a flying type in Pokemon. Like, okay, it will work, but please, for the love of Christ, just pull out that Oshawott and use water gun for Christ's sake. Or how using certain goo all at the same time can make a killer move, which is a bunch of goo working in tandem. I go more in depth into killer moves in my goo cultivation system explained video. Please go watch it. And not anybody can just do a killer move. Not only do you need a lot of primeval essence, but you also need a strong soul on top of that, along with compatible goo that also has resonating dowel fragments. See? A little bit of a balance. Like if you want something really, really good, you have to have a really, really good bad trade-off. I really love that. Or how most goos quite literally built in has pros and cons. Take the man beast life burial goo, for example. When used, it can make somebody in the rank 2 instantly promote to a rank 3 goo master. But the downside is once you promote to that rank, you can no longer cultivate ever again. Like you're done. You're forever stuck at rank 3. These are usually used by people who have C rank aptitudes or D rank aptitudes who will never ever hit rank 3, and so they just usually crash out and use this goo. Shit, feeding them goos themselves could be a bit con, especially depending on the rank, food, or just the amount of goo you have. The higher the rank, the longer the food intake, but when they eat, they eat. Imagine having 3 rank 7 goos and they have to eat at the same time. Most likely you won't, because if you have 3 rank 7 goos, I don't even think a rank 8 have 3 rank 7 goos, so shout out to you, my boy. You're probably vulnerable. Second of all, good luck. Because I swear to God, if you have a rank 7, they probably have the most obscure appetites of all time. And not only is it obscure, it's probably a lot. Or having a whole bunch of rank 1s and not having enough to feed every single one of them. This literally happened to Fang Wan with the whole bone spiral goo after he stole all the bone spiral goo and all the other goos in the white bone inheritance. Now, I can't talk about DAOs and the supposed DAO marks yet because I haven't hit that point, but hopefully DAO marks work differently than normal DAOs in most cultivation novels. Knowing Guzu Rin, it most likely will. Or is it Guju? Well, since we already talked about the goo cultivation system, let's talk about the best part of Reverend Insanity, which is reason number 4. The fights. Yes, we will talk about characters in another video. That would deserve its own video in and about itself. I have a lot to talk about the characters, especially the vulnerable. I have my own thoughts about it, especially how they're talking about the vulnerables. But I just want to hone into the combat today. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a cultivation novel. The strong beat the weak, right? That's how it usually goes, and that's how it probably is in fights. And for that, I'll say yes. The strong do beat the weak. But that's not what I see all the time in Reverend Insanity, at least usually. Most of the time, it's the smartest who beat the weak. If I had to count the amount of times Fang Wan actually used absolute strength to win, it would probably be count on one hand. Okay, maybe 1.5 hand, but you get my— I'm 550 chapters, well past 550 chapters deep into Reverend Insanity, and I can only count in 1.5 hands? That's still absolutely insane. Most of the time, Feng Yuan used intelligence to get what he wants. Like how Feng Yuan schemed against the Bai clan and finessed them on Bai Gu Mountain in order to steal the inheritance to get the Bone Unity Gu in order to dual cultivate with Bai Ning Bing. Or how Feng Yuan deceived the higher ups of the Gu Yu clan along with Jie Jingxing. Or, in my opinion, the best example will have to be chapter 452 to 455. We literally see Feng Yuan lead a middle to low level tribe from not only getting ambushed by the Man tribe, but also stealing the Thousand Wolf King they had set up in order to ambush the G clan. Or should I say G tribe, not clan, my bad. And he used pure attrition and finesse. He didn't even use no strength, no nothing. He was like a war general during Silver War, just throwing out the shots. He was like, you go over here, I'm gonna do here. You come over here, I'm gonna throw you over there, man. You gonna go through there. When we cut through here, I'm gonna use this, but make sure you have this ready. All while being an enslavement path cultivator. And I think Guzurin did this on purpose, or however you pronounce his name. Making Feng Yuan an enslavement path cultivator gave Guzurin to show off how smart Feng Yuan had to be and kind of forced him to write him to be smart. Because an enslavement path cultivator is literally just calling orders. It's kind of like Pokemon, but more advanced. He's not just saying do this move and then you use this move. It's more complex than that. And I think that's truly what Arc 3 is all about, is to open up the world and to build more depth into Feng Yuan's intelligence and schemes. Because I'm telling you right now, after Arc 3, I'm pretty sure that's when the big boys come out to play. And when Feng Yuan does crazy schemes against these big boys, we should not be saying Feng Yuan is stupid and he shouldn't be doing this because, well, he's already proved himself enough. Arc 3 is literally about expanding the world and reinforcing why Feng Yuan is truly the smartest cultivator of all time, and how he's going to dominate the world as if the Gu world is already in the palm of his hand. And that concludes my 4 reasons on why Reverend Insanity is one of the greatest novels, or at least the greatest cultivation novel of all time. And there's no doubt about it. It's me, your boy Boofy, aka Boof Pack. And I'm out. Peace.